Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Who Asked Me podcast. I'm your host, Zell, and it's so nice to be back. Sorry about last week. Listen, I was not planning on taking a hiatus last week. However, the week just got away from me. I was not properly keeping track of my time, and the next thing I knew, it was Saturday, then it was Sunday, then I was like, oh. By the time we put out a podcast episode, we'll be halfway into the week. So we might as well take a break. And if you follow me on Instagram, like I said, I found out some information about my personal life that I wasn't even aware of. And, in those times, I have learned that it's probably best to step away from the mic before I make this Zell's Cabaret and not what we're really here to talk about. So went ahead and did that. The only topic that was on last week's list that I still wanted to touch on this week was the Daphne pajama launch. So Paige DeSorbo launched her pajama line last week, called Daphne. And, I was really, really shocked at the response to it. And I can be honest why here. Some of the feedback that we received was it was plain, so the aesthetic of it was just like, what the hell, and the price. So on those two topics of it being plain, I don't think that Paige is a plain girl, but the pajamas match her aesthetic, right? And for me, Paige's style is very, very that of a skinny white woman. So those pajamas reflect Paige. It's her brand. I would be interested to know who Paige, like in her mind, who she is creating this line for, outside of her saying like the girl who likes to rot in bed, the girl who likes to stay in bed, like the girl, like the bed rot girls, right? Because if we're being honest, when you create clothes, you do have a vision in mind. You have a vision of I'm just going to say it because we're going to get into it in a second, of a certain type of person who, no matter what that is, you have a vision in your mind of a certain type of person physically that will wear these clothes, okay? So people were also upset about the price range. Paige came to us on screen dressing in like mostly Revolve and like Revolve, Zara, those level of fashions. And she's only gone up through there. She is wearing more high-priced items right now. So why are we shocked that that is the price range in which she kind of stayed at, right? For me, am I going to pay $60, $70 for pajamas? It depends, okay? Like if you are familiar with the brand Barefoot Dreams, they make really, really like buttery soft robes and pajamas, and oh my god, it feels so good. I used to work at Nordstrom and just like feel them all the time. They feel amazing. Those are more expensive. The only probably item in the drop that I saw from Daphne that I would consider getting was that Hannah tee. And for me, it looks like a tee that I would wear. For me, though, I'm not going to pay, I think it was like $60 or $70. I'm not going to pay that for a t-shirt that I can't put my hands on first and like really feel the material. Because for me, it's not an item that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that. And I'm willing to get it before feeling it, if that makes sense. And then the main issue that I saw was the lack of size inclusivity within the line. So she launched with sizes extra small to extra large. And I personally was not shocked by that. I'm not saying it's right. It's just I am considering who I am talking about here, and that is Paige DeSorbo. A lot of Paige's, and actually, let me back this up before I say this. Style in fashion is kind of subjective. What you find stylish and fashionable, I may not find stylish and fashionable, right? To me, Paige's styles and fashions are really glued together on the fact that she's skinny, okay? And when I look at who I see Paige hang around, when I see her on Summer House or I look at any of her stores or anything, they are also skinny women. I would be shocked if Paige hung out or was close with anybody who was above a size like 10. And I'm not saying that Paige, let me be very clear, I'm not saying that Paige purposefully does not hang out with people who are a certain size and too skinny or or the other way. but that's who I see her around. So I wouldn't be shocked if Paige created this line with her and her friends in mind, right? There was a comment that I saw from somebody who was critiquing Paige's size range. And what I found interesting was that they had said that they had gone to a Giggly Squad show. They had bought Giggly Squad merch. However, it was not clothing merch because the sizes were only extra small through extra large and they could not get the size that they needed. And in my mind, I was like, right. So why are we now shocked that Paige only did extra small through extra large then? Because she's shown you. Now, I will say this. I don't think that Paige and Hannah are like only extra smalls through extra larges. But in the same breath, I don't think that they're saying, hey, let's make sure that we have sizes that are bigger than extra larges. You get what I mean? I don't think it's a forefront in their mind because of who they are and who they have around them. They're just, the extra small through extra large is like what their mind sees, right? And that's a problem within itself. I like plenty of people on shows, social media, celebrities. I don't necessarily feel represented by them. And again, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for Paige to not be inclusive in her size ranging. I'm just saying that that's why I'm not shocked, if that makes sense. People are going to let us down, okay? And I do think that she should extend her size range, absolutely. I was just personally very shocked by the people that were shocked by Paige, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to touch on that really quick. Real Housewives of Miami also premiered while I was on my little week hiatus, right? And it was great. I love Miami. I have no complaints about Miami. I think they are one of the last true good housewife franchises just because of how they do it. They are a cast full of characters. A cast full of characters. They argue, they resolve, they argue again, they resolve again. And, it's nothing is taken too seriously, which I really, really appreciate, especially in this day and age. But the one thing that I do want to talk about that I just think is just so forced on one person's end is the Julia and Gertie beef. And I'm using air quotes there for somebody who can't see me. This is a non-issue. This is a non-issue. I am a little... My Bravo / reality TV brain is wandering, right? Because we had the footage in the first episode from 5 months ago of Alexia 5 months ago from when it was filmed, of Alexia talking about Todd and the divorce and what happened. And it seems like we do have these little snippets of things that happened prior to the season actually filming. So I'm like, is that what part of the holdup was? That like one... Julia's adoption process and everything. And then two, and I remember hearing that apparently Julia was maybe or maybe not getting a contract for full time this year. I want to throw that in there too. But also that Alexia, like they were filming post breakup and then they kind of did it. And I don't know what they did with that footage. I don't know. The timing, the timing is a little off when it comes to Miami, but I feel like maybe there is some merit to what they said about Julia's casting process or, status on the show, because she's coming with this beef with Gertie that is so pointless, right? She finds out that she's going to be able to adopt these twin boys. She wants to get all of the women on a Zoom call to be able to tell them all. She says Kiki drops her phone, or her daughter drops her phone in the toilet, and then from what the initial story that she told, Gertie was in the call and then it dropped or something like that, or she couldn't get in. Either way, Gertie sent her a text and said, hey, can I have another code to get in? And at that time, Julia had already told the women the news, right? Rah, rah, congratulations, mwah, mwah. They get off the call. Julia texts her and says, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you this really important information, but now you can just find out in the press. If you and Gertie were as close, and she's come out now and said like, oh, we weren't really that close at that time and it was really weird. Correct. Been in weird places with friends before. But if you were weird and it was no beef, there was nothing actually like pinpointing that, why could you still not have said like, hey, I really, really wanted to tell you this with everybody. I wish you could have been on the call, but I understand. You might see something in the press, but I still want to tell you myself so I can give you all the details. I love you so much. Talk to you. Let me know when you're available to talk. It's that easy. It's that easy. So now that Julia has told her to go fetch the information, right? And then Gertie found out and she said congrats. And she is taking something from the congrats and blowing it up and making it seem like Gertie is fake. Girl, I know you fucking lying. And it's really giving that she is finally like cool with Adriana and, oh, I'm sorry, not Adriana, Alexia and Marisol. So now she's kind of just tossed Gertie to the side. And in the previews for next week, she's like getting weirdly aggressive with Gertie. And listen, people say all the time, like, Gertie's annoying, she's over the top. Well, my argument to that is not that she's not, right? All of those women are. Do you remember when Lisa told them that Lenny was trying to divorce her and moving the mistress into the house? It was screams all over. I'm sure the whole resort heard, not just Gertie. So it does make me side-eye people when they complain about how quote-unquote extra Gertie is, but then they have no complaints about how extra the rest of the women are, because it's giving, you know what it's giving, right? But hopefully Julia drops this forced beef, because it ain't it, and it's about to irritate the shit out of me, because her and Martina have nasty spirits. Nasty spirits. So y'all know I don't fuck with Martina because of them transphobic ass comments she was making. Also, I think Carmen, what was her name? She was on Drag Race. I don't know, but Carmen, her name's Carmen, I can't remember her last name, is going to be maybe a friend of, or she's going to make an appearance, and she's a trans woman, and I'm very fucking interested to see how Julia and Martina, actually, I don't want Carmen to be around Julia and Martina, because they're ignorant. They're ignorant, right? But if they are, it will be interesting to see how they act around her. Ew, I can't stand Martina. I really fucking can't. Now, on to the meat and potatoes of this episode. We are going to talk about Love Island, and what a long week it was in Love Island world. Oh my God, right? So we have a lot of blow-ups from Huda and Jeremiah this week, and a lot of online chatter. Before I even get into anything that I'm going to say, I do not ever condone leaving hate on someone's page, on their social media, sending them nasty messages. Y'all know I say all the time, we're losing the plot because now y'all are internet bullying these people on the shows, and they get to act like victims. First person that comes to mind is Zach Affleck from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Jen's husband. He showed the messages that people were sending him, and it's like, Zach sucks. He absolutely fucking sucks, and he is problematic. One, Jen co-signs some of that problematicness, so like I'm not going to say too much. But two, yes, he's problematic, but that don't mean that you can send that man a message to tell him to unalive himself. Like, you can't be harassing people in their fucking DMs and shit. We're losing the plot. We have to let horrible people, like, suffocate them with non-attention, okay? Or, like, the discourse, right? But don't be, like, bombarding them is my point. So, Huda has been getting a lot of hate in her comments. Whoever is supposed to be running her social media is extremely negligent, because they should have gotten in there and turned the comments off. And there's a couple things that have been said about the people kind of like in Huda's corner that I find interesting. So one, we have her baby daddy came out. Now, I don't want to say came out in defense of her, because Huda's baby daddy 2 weeks ago was online talking shit. He was aiding in the negative talk about her, and I didn't agree with that on his end, because he made a comment like, oh, she wants to act like she's doing it all herself. While Huda is very annoying with the whole, like, I'm a mummy thing, she never said that she was doing it by herself. She never said that. She said, I'm a single mom. Y'all aren't in a relationship, so she is single and you're single. He's a single dad, she's a single mom. Idiot. And then, so for me, like, you hopped online and you said your piece, and you kind of like made it seem like you were welcoming to not nice comments about her. Again, I don't think it's an excuse. And then he's talking to People magazine and pleading, I'm using air quotes there, with people to say, oh, like, whatever you say about her, please remember to be kind, and that, like, at the end of the day, me and our daughter are gonna get the repercussions of this. And his statement was filled with things that were like, okay, so you have dealt with what we're seeing on screen to a degree, because he said something like, no matter how difficult she may be. It's not funny, but I was like, oh my God, who wrote this for you? Because he can't just say, hey, this is the mother of my child, I don't condone this whatsoever. He says these little things like, no matter how difficult she may be, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, brother. And then she had a friend that came out and said she did try to have her back and say, like, Huda is young, she's been through a lot, and it seems like she's been able to a lot. And then she goes, I too am still learning a lot about Huda. And I was like, oh my God, y'all are not doing any favors. But again, whoever's running the social media could at least turn the fucking comments off and manage that so that she doesn't get all of that. However, something is happening with Huda in the audience that always fucking happens. And again, people lose the goddamn plot. When somebody gets a mass amount of hate, whether it's because of their own actions or not, all right, and we'll get into Huda's actions here shortly, it sends a big push of people to support them, because any amount of hate in large portions, I mean, you know, in real life, it can feel suffocating in a lot when like two people have an issue with you. Whether they're right or they're wrong, it can feel very suffocating when two people have an issue with you and it's like, oh my God, everybody's coming at me, I can't do anything right. So imagine it in droves on social media. All of this is parasocial. Since that happens, you have a large push of people who are like, I'm going to do the right thing and like not dogpile and try and stand up for her. And then it snowballs into people trying to make excuses for her behavior. I want to say this as a long time Love Island watcher. One, what's pissing me off is these new Love Island fans, they have picked up on things that actual old Love Island fans are saying, and now they're trying to use them, and it's just like reverse Uno over and over. And it's like, just say that you just started watching the show. It's not that big of a deal, right? And that you're not used to this, okay? And it's a lot, but you're entertained. Is Huda the first person that we have seen act erratic or like this in Love Island across all of the franchises? No, she's not. What I will say when it comes to Huda, in all of the comparisons that people have tried to put on her, good and or bad, is what is working against Huda is context and timing. Okay? I've seen people compare her to Kaylor last year. I've seen people compare her to Faye from UK season, what was that, season 6 or 7 or something like that? I can't remember. I think it was 7. Whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Faye and Teddy. I've seen people compare her to Anna from season 5. Any of these women who have yelled and like, you know, been like, oh fuck you, and like in the under the guise of standing up for themselves against these men. Timing is what is different here, okay? I personally think that Huda is worse than Faye. I think she's worse than all of them, again, because of the timing. Also, all of those people, all those women that I just described, in a little bit of, I've seen people compare her to Serena and Leah as well, which we'll get there. All of those things, besides time, that is on Huda, or is not on Huda's side, is how they also treated their relationships and the people around them. So in the villa. Now, I will say, Faye's stuff did start like leaking out into the villa, but I have never watched a Love Island season where this early, okay, listen to the words, this early in the game, a relationship has had such a negative impact on the entire villa. Again, it's not that you've never seen anything like this before. It's that the time in which it has taken place. And timing is everything in life, in the villa, in all of these things. And all of these people making these excuses of like, villa time is fast forwarded. It absolutely is. A week does feel like a month. Huda was acting like this on day 2, week 1. It does not matter. But I'm telling you, as a fucking fact, how Huda was acting at the time in which she was behaving this way, it's unhinged. It is unfucking hinged, okay? I will keep my comparisons, honestly, truly, at season 5 and season 6. So season 5 of Love Island USA, you had this couple, KK and Keenan. Now, if you want to compare Huda's attachment to Jeremiah to anybody, you can compare it to KK and Keenan from season 5 of Love Island USA, because KK really was locked in with Keenan. Keenan was playing from jump. He was not as like seemingly as locked in with as Jeremiah was with Huda, but KK was as locked in on Keenan in season 5 as Huda was with Jeremiah. And that came to KK's detriment. We kicked Keenan off the fucking island and she went with him, and they broke up like 2 months later. Okay. So that is a comparable thing. She was like falling all over the floor in Casa Amor. It was a mess. It was a mess. But when it comes to the girls last year, right? I keep seeing this Kaylor comparison. Yes, by the time Kaylor left that island, her eyes were swollen. We were tired of hearing her cry. We were tired of hearing, fuck Aaron. 100%. That was the end of the villa. We are still in the first 3 weeks. All right. We are still in the first 3 weeks of this show. At the beginning, and this is factual. Okay. I'm talking facts. At the beginning of Love Island USA season 6, Kaylor wanted to explore. She kissed Hakeem. She was open. I think she kissed Connor. She was still wanting to be open. Aaron was the one that was like, I don't want my girlfriend or my potential partner acting like that, blah, 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 blah. And that's why I really did not fuck with Aaron, because when it was time to explore, he locked her down, and he made her feel like she had to choose him, or he was not going to be an option for her anymore. That he was not exploring. And then why I didn't fuck with him is because then when you got into Casa and the feelings were really, really, really involved, he did what he did. And that was grimy. Okay. And then you got the Kaylor of the crying and everything, because there were a lot of feelings involved. When it comes to Huda's feelings, Huda has big feelings, right? It's clear that Huda is a representation for the girlies that not only have big feelings, but I'm just going to be honest, they don't want to be held accountable for their behavior. I'm going to reference myself here. If you've listened to me for a long time, y'all know when I went on my bachelorette party, some things took place and I had like a full meltdown, and I screamed at multiple people. I still to this day am like, and I was like, my feelings were valid. Okay. My behavior was not. How I was feeling, because I still feel the same way about that bachelorette party, like about the things that I was experiencing with the people who were on that trip with me. Okay. I still have a level of like hurt, not only hurt, but like shame and embarrassment on how I let myself get to that level of that meltdown. I really, really do. And all I can do now is like, that's years ago. Hell, I'm not even in that marriage anymore. But all I can do now is like figure out, I went to like extreme therapy after that trip happened. And I never told anybody that, but like I went to extreme therapy after that trip because of everything that I experienced and the betrayal that I felt from multiple people. Like I felt like I had gone insane. I have crashed out before. Absolutely. I have called people names before. Absolutely. I'm not proud of it. And I don't want anybody to ever make excuses for me for doing such. Okay. And I had friends come to me after fact, and they were like, Giselle, we completely understand why you felt that way, where you like what you were feeling. You were correct, but you can't, like, I can't be around you when you act like that. Like, I had friends who have known me since I was 15 or 16 be like, I've never ever seen you like that, and I don't ever want to see you like that ever again. Now, the difference between me and Huda is like, that was an isolated incident, right? Like that's not how I behave on the normal. But I have had issues with like my temper before, in the sense of like how upset I get about things. Yes, everybody has called somebody out of their name. Yes, everybody has, you know, acted in a way that was not their best. I don't think people are expecting perfection from Huda, but there's a level of accountability from Huda and the people that support her that is completely missed. And it's under the guise of like, well, I have this, or I'm an anxious attached girly. And like, God forbid, like, I just don't want anybody to leave me. And I love so hard. No, baby. No. I'm sorry. It's not an excuse. Okay. We're all afraid of being left. We are when you love somebody and you care for somebody, you don't want them to ever leave you. You always want them to be around. That does not mean that you can behave in any way, shape, or form. Because you like somebody, because your feelings are big and they're involved, does not mean that you can do whatever you want. I'm going to shift gears to Jeremiah. Jeremiah is not a saint, okay? However, Jeremiah is very basic Love Island fuckboy. I'm not saying his behavior is okay, but his behavior up against Huda's behavior, I am not, and I know some of y'all might be surprised by this because of how like quickly I will take a jab at a man. I'm not a women aren't crazy, men make them crazy girl. I don't believe that. I think Lexi said that on Summer House, and y'all know how I felt about her. I really will. Like, I can make a lot of excuses, and I don't even say excuses. I see women's side. Like, I am a woman. I'm just kidding. But like, I do. I'm always for my girlies, but part of being for my girlies is like not excusing this behavior. Jeremiah is a fuckboy, absolutely. But I do want to say that I think that there has been another epidemic of therapy talk being abused on the internet when it comes to this. And it's so ironic because I was just having this conversation with one of my friends about love bombing. The term love bombing has been taken too far. It has been taken extremely out of context when it comes to, like, kind of in the same way narcissist has, right? Love bombing in its like origin is one of the tactics mostly used when you start getting to abusive relationships, right? Because the person is like always struggles in their mind with like, how can this person be abusing me right now? They did this for me. They were so lovey-dovey. They surrounded me with so much love and made me feel so special. So there's no way they can be doing this right now. That is where that term originated from. And now I fear it's been turned into something that when you first meet somebody and you really like them and you're in a new relationship and it's really exciting and you just want to be around them all the time. And then you get into that first fight and it's like, whoa. And you start backing off. It's been used for that. And also it's starting to be used when like somebody kind of like ghosts you. Listen, ghosting is not fun. For the most part, we've all been ghosted. I've been ghosted. All my friends have been ghosted. I have ghosted someone before. Have I? No, because you're not finna blow up my phone. I'm not gonna lie. I've never ghosted somebody. I have told them like, I'm not interested and you need to leave me alone after breaking up with them, right? And they continue to like call me or text me or try to reach me. I'm like, okay, I'm not interested. You need to leave me alone. But ghosting is not fun. But ghosting is not right either, right? Somebody being interested in you and like taking you on dates and things like that, and then deciding like, this actually isn't for me. That's not love bombing either. There are all of these things that, and I'm sure there's somebody listening to this who feels really wronged by somebody who could say, but what they did there, because we're all looking for a reason why it's not us, right? It's not me, it's that person because blah, blah. Sometimes it is you, and it's not you because of how you are. It's you as in the sense of like, that person and you are not compatible, and you would rather be with somebody that you are compatible with and who respects you and your boundaries and things like that than somebody who is like, hey, now that I think about it, I just don't know if this is going to work out for us. You can't be scared to break up with people. All right. It sucks. Trust me. I know it fucking sucks. but you still have to be honest. And in this sense, like Huda, it was almost like oh, I'm going to like kind of like make them feel bad so they don't leave me. We cannot do that. All right. There has to be conflict resolution. So many people are like, y'all would hate to hear how I am when I'm upset. Y'all would hate, I cuss people out while I talk about their mom. Okay, that's fine. You shouldn't expect them to talk to you after that then. You can cuss me out all you want to. You can do all that hoopling and hollering that you want. Call me everything but a child of God. Don't expect me to talk to you again, ever again in my life. If that's how you want to handle things, that's how you are going to handle them. But you have to deal with the repercussions of the fact that you handled it like that. And trust me, again, I know I've cussed out people before and that I was like, shouldn't have taken it that far. Now, I've never cussed out anybody like that I still wanted to be with. And that's another thing that really shocks me about Huda. She still clearly wants to be with Jeremiah after doing all this hoopling and hollering. You can't call somebody a bitch and a pussy over and over and over again and expect them to be like, oh, it's fine. Okay. That does wear on people. I fear that it is extremely underestimated how that wears on people. I have been with people who have been in relationships where they were spoken to like that on a daily basis. And I am like, I don't behave like that. Like, I'm not going to, when I get mad at you, I'm going to tell you why you made me mad. Or I'm going to say like, I need a minute. Okay. I need a minute. My result is not calling you a fucking bitch or a pussy over and over and over again. Right. I will say this, even in my marriage, we definitely had some arguments where I think I might have, I don't know if I called him a pussy or insinuated that he was. It wasn't right. I felt terrible. Even though he pissed me the fuck off, I felt terrible after I said that because I was like, damn, I want my point across, okay, when I'm arguing. Y'all know, y'all listen to me here, I like facts, okay? I like to get my point across. And once I start name calling and doing all that stuff, the point is lost, right? Jeremiah definitely does toxic things. When they got into the fight and he had said that he was done over and over, he sprays his cologne on her bed. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? That is not great. It's definitely a toxic behavior. It's not a toxic behavior that should send somebody into a tailspin. I just got to be honest with y'all here. It's not a toxic behavior that should send somebody into tailspin. You should absolutely, I was like, when he said that, I was like, oh, fuck you. Fuck off. Don't be doing that shit. Okay? Even if you're at your most hurt, you can absolutely be like, why the fuck would you do that? I think when I was like younger, because I'm almost a full 10 years older than Huda. I'm 33, she's 24. When I was younger, that age, I was always searching for the why, right? I was like, why even, hell, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. The shit that I found out about some things that may have not taken place in my marriage, I still, to this day, I'm like, why? Why did we even do this? Why did we get this far in the relationship if that's what was going to be going on behind my back? Why? Everybody wants to know why, right? Again, I'm not one person I'm not calling and blowing up his phone and calling him everything but a child God is my ex-husband. Okay? Sometimes you gotta, life is just about like experiences. So also, I will say that Huda, the difference between, Serena calling Cordell a bitch, and I will say this right up rip, everybody was on Serena's ass about that. Again, timing, after Casa, all of those things. Also, Serena has said, even though we find that iconic and we're like, oh my God, that was amazing, Serena said before they even left the island, I don't want to talk about that night or after Casa or anything like that anymore. It was a part of our relationship. I understand that it's like entertainment for some people, but it was really hurtful for me. And I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to live in that place. Okay. Again, showing a level of remorse and again, timing. Okay. I will say this, I also think Huda is comparable to Leah because, and that's not a good thing, last year, Leah was very annoying to me with how hooked she was on Rob from jump, especially because Rob kept, yes, Rob was doing a lot. He was saying one thing over here and then doing another thing to Leah's face. He played all day, right? But Leah she kind of didn't want to like explore, right? And she was really all about him. And then when she did branch out, she had to save herself. She went to Janae's man. I didn't love that. I didn't love that, but Leah did not crash out to the level of Huda. Huda is going to have a hard time now trying to sweep all of this up. And if Huda gets to stay in the villa, it's going to be because of the droves of emotionally immature people that are on the outside of this villa rooting for her. That's another thing. We had a vote tonight, right? The thing that's killing me now that Huda said in tonight's episode all over and over, we're all here for the same reason, right? Like, what am I supposed to do, right? Girl, that's what the fuck everybody else was saying. Every time you was cussing about any of those fucking bombshells, calling them out in their name, getting pissed, that's what everybody was saying. That's what they're here to do. I really think that Huda thought that the bombshells were just supposed to like come in, say like, ooh, do you like this? Yes or no? And then they were scramming. Okay? Like, no, baby, no. Okay? Absolutely not. She is right. So I said in one of my reviews, all she can do at this point, since she is staying in the villa, is move forward and try to find a connection. However, that is a part of the Love Island experience. However, we cannot keep Huda in this villa just for the simple fact that Huda was not getting it in the beginning. We cannot keep Huda in this villa just for the simple fact that she was late to the game and she put all of her eggs in the Jeremiah basket. Bella put all of her eggs in the Nick basket, and where is she? At home watching the fucking show like the rest of us. God bless Jalen, baby Jalen. He put all his eggs in the Alandria basket. Where is he? At home with the rest, watching the show with the rest of us. That is a part of Love Island. Now, moving to the next thing. I want to talk about everybody getting fucking pissed off that we voted and for her to crash out, quote unquote, crash out. First of all, some of us ain't new to this. We're true to this. We knew what we was doing with them votes, and I would do it again. We have done it before. Voting is a part of Love Island. Voting is a part of Love fucking Island, okay? You are putting couples together, voting for who you want to see move around and do all this. We've done it before. I'm not here for the think pieces that America was the problem in that vote. No. I exercise my right to vote in every way possible. Every election, local and above. Love Island and above. And I will do so how I see fit. Okay? Fuck off. It's like very annoying. Me and Kendrick and Raven talk about this all the time. These new fans who are like think piecing Love Island to the point where it's like, if you don't like the premise of this show, then don't fucking watch it. I get FOMO. I get not wanting to be left out. There are plenty of things that I hear people talk about watching. Perfect example. The Last Dead? The Walking? The Last of Us. I think that's the show. The Last of Us. Yeah. What's the Walking one? Whatever. I don't care. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Them zombie apocalypse things. People in my office, my friends, they talk about those shows all the fucking time. And I'm like, wow, you're having a really good time talking about this show. I would love to be as interested in it as you are. I can't watch all that shit. I can't stand it. It's too much for me. Right? So I do need a lot of the viewership to ask themselves, is this actually the show for me? Do I actually enjoy this show? Right? Because it doesn't sound like you actually think the premise is that good. You're just watching it for shits and gigs. Okay? Also, I will say, Jeremiah and anybody else will always, I don't want to say win me over, but get more points in my book by having the bare level awareness of their surroundings and not making their issues other people's issues. Now, Jeremiah did for a little bit. He was arguing with his whole chest about Huda and him liking each other and blah, 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 blah. My relationship isn't America's business. Correct? Outside of Love Island. You're on a fucking TV show. Act Act like you know where you are. You and Huda, act like you know where the fuck you are. You're right. Your relationship is really not our business. Outside of the fucking TV show, there were votes. Y'all knew that we was gonna get to voting. You had to. Okay, you had to. There are plenty of people arguing for Huda, saying that she didn't know, she never saw Love Island before. That's irresponsible. That's irresponsible to go onto a show and have never watched it before and not know the premise. I don't care who you are. That it is, okay? You're an adult. Do some research, do some homework. When you go apply for a job, don't you look up the company? Hello? Okay. And again, like where we are now, couples are really starting to form, and it's almost ironic to me that people are like, well, I thought everybody wasn't closed off. There's levels to this shit. No, people are not closed off, right? But they have progressed in their relationships. Also, let's call a spade a spade. They've all seen how Huda can get when she does not get her way. And even in the smallest level, I'm still not over I want to be over the pancakes, but the whole breakfast thing. Not even the pancake of it all, but when he gave her that plate and there was no like protein on it, because she looked at it and she goes, no protein. Thank you. Hey, next time for breakfast, do you think you could give me some bacon or some sausage? I like bacon and sausage. I like protein. Like, even with the pancake, I don't think that boy purposefully undercooked the pancake. Okay? Go downstairs. Babe, oh my God, this pancake isn't cooked all the way. Hey, can I get in there when you get done? Because this pancake actually isn't cooked all the way through, and I hate soggy bread. And that's me saying I hate soggy bread, right? So I get it. So many ways to handle that other than the way that it was handled. And I just see so many excuses for people. I get it. You don't want to see somebody be bullied. I don't want to see somebody be bullied either. But the behavior, do you bully? Huda's not exactly treating people kind. Right? I've made a joke about like, can you imagine being Jeremiah's mom and sisters watching this? And the amount of women are like, fuck his mom and fuck his sister. Okay. You don't want to be with him then. You know what I mean? You can't say fuck his mom and fuck his sister and then still try and be in a relationship with him. Trust me, I've done it before. Don't work. Okay? It does not fucking work. So it's one of those things where if I am really done with somebody, this is how I behave. Also, I will say this. I want y'all to know something. Mark my words. And again, this is not an excuse for why people should send her mean messages or anything. But when Huda comes out of that villa, she is going to have a whole trove of people that are in her corner supporting her, and they're going to make it very loud because they don't want her to see the negatives. Okay, cool. Whatever, that's who you want to support. She is also, I promise you, she will be on Call Her Daddy in the Yall files within 2 weeks of exiting that villa. I'm sure they have contracts waiting off the printer for her right now. And she will get to tell her side of the story, and she will get to paint this picture on why everything that we saw was wrong and take maybe an iota of accountability. And people are going to be like, oh, see, like she's changed. Okay? I've seen it time and time again with this. I hope that, again, all she can do is move forward and be better. And I hope that that's that. Now that we're done with the Huda of it all. Now, my favorite people. I love Sierra. I love Shelly. I love Atlandria. Those are my top 3, right? I think that Nick and Sierra could win. I think that they could win. This is around the time when I really get to feeling like, ooh, I'm seeing some winner energy right in there, right? Because I really do respect and appreciate the way Nick and Sierra are going about this. However, I am scared that Nick is about to act a fool in Casa. Ace and Shelly, I also think that they might win this. They could get up to the top, right? One of them is going to act a fool in Casa. I don't know which one. And that's my favorite part, right? Because I love when the girlies are wild cards. Shelly lets Ace know each and every time, like, hey, not too much. I have options too. I'm fine as fuck. All right. And Ace needs to remember that because sometimes Ace be getting too big for his britches. Alandria and Taylor. Alandria keeps saying that she likes Taylor. Okay. Alandria is my girl. I love Alandria. I love her down. Taylor? Some of their chats are, they're not chatting for me. I'm confused. I really am. But if she like it, I love it. I guess, okay? Who else up in that villa? Hannah. I love Hannah. I really do. She's just my little Love Island girl, hopping, doing her experience, kissing, and good. I love her. I love her. She's perfect for this show. She really is. You need like a chaotic neutral, right? And that's exactly what Hannah is. She is a chaotic neutral. Love her down. Amaya. I've really grown to like Amaya, y'all. I have really grown to like Amaya. I am shocked. Her first impression with me was not a good one. No, baby. No. And she's paired up with Austin now, and that worries me for her. But Austin needs to get the fuck up out the villa. Okay? Austin needs to get the fuck up out the villa. It's giving miserable. All of the Trump supporter in him aside, all of that ignorant shit aside, it's just giving miserable. He swore he was like not happy because of the Shelly and Ace situation, and that's why. But now he's with Amaya, and he's like, oh, she really likes me, but now she likes me too much. You want to go home. And let me tell you something. I'm about to be mean about Austin. I'll say that this much. Austin is used to being, where's he from? Like Boca or somewhere in Florida, Tampa, whatever. He's used to being a hot little pool boy amongst all of these, like, using air quotes, desperate housewives type women who hate their potbelly husbands. And they're like, ooh, let's get with the pool boy and fantasize him. He is like a Florida mom 8, but a Love Island 4. And I want to listen to him speak on 2 times speed. He is amongst the big dogs and he cannot handle it. That's what it is. He cannot handle it. Everybody thinks he's funny and cool, but he's not like the hot guy. And that's what's really getting to him. Bye. Get on out. Because there was also people, listen, I'm so over the online chatter about people making up things about these Islanders. Ugh, I could just, so over it. But there was a group of women that said that they went to high school or college with him and that he was sending unsolicited dick pics. And I believe it because remember when they played that game and they talked about how many dick pics were being sent? Yeah. Okay, Austin. Okay. Now, I think we're going to end it there. Yeah, I think we're going to end it there. If you want a more in-depth Love Island of like everything that went down this week, you can always check out my TikToks and then my YouTube weekly reviews of them. Those will be there. Don't forget to drop down in the comments and, let me know how you're feeling about this episode. Listen, I want to be very clear when it comes to the nuances when I talked about Paige and her size range, okay? You can like who you like. And yes, everybody should be size inclusive. I'm just not shocked when certain people aren't. That doesn't make it right because I can feel somebody being mad about what I said. I can feel it in my bones and we got to leave space. Leave space. All right. On that note, I will talk to y'all next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.